The money stress does not go away in retirement. You can have $1 million, you can have 500K, you can have more, you can have less, but it doesn't change the fact that money is probably one of the biggest stressors of your retirement. And I think it really impacts people that are planning to retire soon, and those of us that have entered into retirement, for at least a year or more. Looking at our bank accounts every day can be exhausting at times. And it's not that we don't have the money. It's not that we're worried about the money, other than it just may not be there one day. And I think a lot of the stress can come from it in a lot of different ways. We have new tax laws that are written out every year that will impact us one way or the other. We have healthcare cost premiums going up, and next year they're talking about they're going to go way up. We have insurance, home insurance and car insurance all going up, the cost of food going up, and our money has got to stretch so much further in retirement when inflation goes up. And your plan, you could have the best plan on the book, figured it all out, we want to adjust, but you want to adjust for like 3% inflation and yada yada yada, and uncertainty hits. You can't account for everything. There's always going to be a wrench thrown in there, and at least one wrench, and then you have to kind of just take them as they come and try to work through it, right? So your 3% inflation rate that you were planning for however long might get increased to 4 or 5%. It could be devastating. And I don't hold on to a whole lot of cash. I have assets that I can offload and turn into cash in a day or two. But when you're doing covered calls, that's great cash flow, right? But the problem with covered calls is I have assets that are tied up for as long as the contract is written for. If I have a contract that's out till January, I can't do anything with those funds pretty much until January. So if I need the money from those funds, I can't do anything with it. If it's a week, I probably have a little bit more flexibility. So we kind of have to think about that. Dividend ETFs and dividend stocks, are great, but you're kind of tied to when they're going to pay out, right? Whether they're weekly, monthly, or quarterly, or yearly, they all can just decide to we're not paying any dividends for a while. So the dividends that you're getting from these ETFs and stocks are not guaranteed. They can go zero at any point. So that's always a worry. The odds of it, thin, low, but possibility is always there. And then there's people that have real estate, and I don't do real estate. I do the other two, but real estate, it could be a nice little income generator, giving you nice income every month, and you're dependent on when that income comes in. When they pay their rent. But then there's an added stress in there that 2 o'clock in the morning you might get a phone call. Oh, hey, a water line broke. And that could be stressful in itself, because if you've got a lot of tenants, the odds of getting woken up 2 o'clock in the morning are going to be increased, with every tenant that you take on. Now, there's things that we could do to alleviate that. We could get a property manager to manage our properties for us for a small fee. With dividend income, we could put money, dividends off to the side as we collect it and put it into other funds, or put it in a cash reserve bucket for those times that we need to dip into it that they don't pay, right? Or unexpected expenses that may occur and will occur. Cover calls, you have to figure out if you're gonna, what are you going to willing to risk, and then how long. It may be a long time before you could access those funds. So maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'm not going to do anything more than a month or a week at a time, because I need to have access to these funds if I have to sell for whatever reason. Those are just a number of things that you can think of, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more. I can't even think of everything. And then we have, retirees that, they want to go on a cruise. They would love to go on a cruise to Alaska or Ireland or this trip, and it might be like a $4,000 or $5,000 trip. And instead of taking it, they decline. They won't do these excursions or experiences because they're more afraid that what if they need that $4 or $5 grand later on down the road, right? And the odds are, what if that $4 or $5 grand needed down the road never happens, and then they're out an experience, and yeah, they still got their money, but they've done nothing with it. And that can be a whole lot of stress in it too, because they want to go out and do these things, but they're too afraid that they ain't gonna have the money to get out there and do things. And maybe the right answer is building a guilt-free bucket system that you can put money into every month, or put into, and that money is just for trips, you're guilt-free if you're going to go do something and not worry about it. But it can be very, very stressful when you're always worried about money. And I don't have easy answers, and I don't think anybody can have an easy answer, other than you just have to live one day at a time and try to get as much experience as you can without going overboard. Of course, we're not saying that, hey, in retirement, the world's your oyster and live large and blow all your money in a short period of time. No, we're not trying to say that at all. But you need to go and experience and have some kind of adventure. Pick up a new hobby. Do something. You need to get out there and do something. You need to live your life that you work so hard for, saving and prepping to retire. Whether it's early or in your 60s or whatever, you worked. You deserve to have those experiences. It can be difficult. I know. I definitely know it can be difficult. And another thing to think about, maybe if money is a concern, maybe it might be wise to, if you need a little extra money, you're thinking you need a little bit extra money, maybe it might be smart to maybe pick up a part-time job. Look at some passive income, if you have a good hobby, like say crafts and woodworking and stuff like that, look at maybe selling some of your work to pay for excursions or pay a bill or something. There's always those opportunities. I think the biggest problem with the passive income is the way that social media glamorizes, they glamorize their different types of passive income, and they never ever are exactly like they claim it is. There's always stress that is involved in it that becomes like things that they don't tell you. You wish you knew, or you had to do all this stuff to be able to do this stuff, and it never really pans out anything like what social media will paint it. And that can be stressful because you have an expectation going into something and thinking that it's quick cash, or this is going to be easy, and then it's not what it is. So do what you're good at. If you can figure a way to make a little bit of money doing something, take advantage of it. I wish I was good at woodworking. I wish I was good at crafts. I wish I was good at a lot of things. But passive income. I know I could do RV repairs. I could do RV inspections. And the reason why I know that is because I went to take a class and I got certified, and I have the tools and the knowledge to do so. And if I choose to keep it up, not saying that it's something that I want to do, but if I have to fall back in and try to make a little bit of extra money to survive because of the uncertainty of times, there is that I guess there is that option I have. And my wife, she's already looking at maybe doing some things that might make a little bit of extra money. She's reviewing books or whatever, audio books and stuff. She's working on getting a gig that will make her just a little bit of cash, because one, she loves reading and listening to books. She does a lot of reading, and if she can make a little bit of money, $100, $200, here and there, why not do it? So that's her little passive income. But yeah, the money never goes away, and I think the key thing is to try to find ways to overcome the stress. You can talk to other retirees and see how they deal with the money stress, and try not to put yourself in a bubble and withdraw because you're afraid that your money's not going to last. You may need that $4 or $5 grand down the road, but you know what? It's not the end of the road. You've had more experiences. You've had an adventure. You have memories, and that's what I kind of want to get into. And kind of the key takeaway is don't limit yourself. Don't try to stress yourself out. Life is as hard as it is, and you've earned your place in retirement. You made it there. You made a decision, and you deserve where you're at.